Number 1. 1962 Ford Galaxy 500 Coupe 2D, offered at $35,000 and currently located in LaPorte, Colorado. This beautifully preserved 1962 Ford Galaxy 500 is the kind of classic car that rarely appears on the market, especially in such remarkably original condition. Representing the elegance and confidence of early 1960s American automotive design, this full-size coupe combines timeless styling, family history, and exceptional preservation into one unforgettable package. Powered by an automatic transmission and showing approximately 60,000 miles, this Galaxy has reportedly remained almost entirely original throughout its lifetime. According to the seller, the only major change from factory condition is a single repaint completed more than 25 years ago by Cooper Auto Body. Even after decades, the car continues to maintain an impressive appearance, reflecting the care and attention it has received over the years. Finished in blue with a matching blue interior, the car captures the bold yet refined styling that made the Galaxy lineup one of Ford's most recognizable models during the early 1960s. The long body lines, chrome accents, and classic coupe proportions give the car an unmistakable road presence that instantly transports you back to the golden age of American cruising. What truly separates this Galaxy from many other classics is its history of long-term ownership and preservation. The vehicle has reportedly remained within the same family for over 45 years and has always been garage kept. That level of consistent care is incredibly rare and plays a major role in the car's outstanding condition today. The seller even describes it as a near-perfect example for its age, emphasizing how difficult it would be to find another one like it. Adding even more appeal, this Galaxy is said to include every available option offered for the model year, making it not only a beautiful collector's piece but also a highly desirable and well-equipped example of Ford luxury from the era. Cars like this represent more than transportation. They serve as rolling pieces of history that preserve the craftsmanship and style of another generation. Inside, the matching blue interior reflects the spacious and comfort-oriented design philosophy that defined American full-size cars of the early 1960s. Wide seating, elegant trim details, and a relaxed driving atmosphere create an experience that modern vehicles simply cannot replicate. Every detail contributes to the nostalgic feeling of stepping back into a different era of motoring. On the road, the Galaxy delivers the smooth and effortless cruising experience these cars became famous for. It is built for comfort, presence, and enjoyment rather than aggressive performance, making it the perfect companion for weekend drives, classic car gatherings, and vintage automotive events. Overall, this 1962 Ford Galaxy 500 Coupe stands as an exceptionally well-preserved American classic with originality, history, and timeless style. For collectors and enthusiasts alike, it represents a rare opportunity to own a true piece of Ford heritage that has been carefully protected and appreciated for generations. Number 2. 1963 Ford Falcon 4-door sedan, offered at $20,000 and currently located in St. George, Utah. This 1963 Ford Falcon represents a simpler and more elegant era of American motoring, back when compact sedans were designed with practicality, reliability, and timeless styling in mind. Finished in an off-white exterior paired with a blue interior, this Falcon carries a clean and classic appearance that perfectly matches the early 1960s aesthetic. With 97,454 miles showing on the odometer and only 2 previous owners, this car appears to have been carefully preserved over the years. Under the hood sits Ford's dependable 170 cubic inch inline-6 engine paired with a 3-speed manual transmission. This combination may not have been built for raw muscle car performance, but it was highly respected for durability, smooth operation, and fuel efficiency during its time. According to the seller, the engine runs perfectly and is free from the common rocker arm noise that can often develop in older inline-6 engines. That detail alone suggests the motor has been well maintained and cared for throughout its life. Driving a classic Falcon like this offers a completely different experience from modern vehicles. The manual transmission creates a more connected feeling between driver and machine, while the lightweight design of the Falcon keeps the car feeling simple, responsive, and enjoyable on the road. Instead of relying on heavy electronics and modern technology, cars like this focus purely on the mechanical driving experience. One of the standout qualities of this particular Falcon is how complete and original it appears to be. The seller notes that it still includes the spare tire, factory jack, and original hubcaps with beauty rings, small details that collectors and enthusiasts always appreciate because they help preserve the authenticity of the vehicle. These original components are often lost over time, making their presence here an important part of the car's appeal. At the same time, the Falcon has also received several updates that improve comfort and usability. It comes equipped with new tires, helping make the car safer and more road-ready for regular driving. The interior has been refreshed with all-new upholstery and carpet, giving the cabin a much cleaner and more inviting appearance while still maintaining its classic character. Inside, the blue interior reflects the styling trends of the early 1960s, when automakers often used bold interior colors to give cars more personality. The layout is simple and functional, with an emphasis on visibility and comfort rather than unnecessary complexity. According to the seller, all gauges and lights work perfectly, which is especially impressive for a vehicle more than 60 years old. Electrical systems are often one of the biggest problem areas in vintage cars, so having everything operational adds significant value to the overall driving experience. Visually, the Falcon's design remains one of its strongest qualities. Unlike the oversized cars of the late 1950s or the aggressive muscle cars that would dominate the late 1960s, the Falcon represents a more balanced and understated approach to automotive styling. Its clean body lines, modest chrome trim, and compact proportions give it a timeless look that still feels charming today. On the road, the Falcon delivers the kind of calm and relaxed driving experience that many classic car enthusiasts appreciate. It's not a car designed for speed or competition, it's a car built for enjoying the drive itself. Whether cruising through town, attending local car shows, or taking weekend drives on scenic roads, this Ford captures the feeling of vintage American motoring in a very authentic way. The seller describes the vehicle as a rare find, and in many ways that statement makes sense. Finding a mostly original Falcon in clean running condition, complete with factory accessories, refreshed interior work, and functioning gauges is becoming increasingly uncommon. Many examples have either been heavily modified, neglected, or simply worn out after decades of use. Overall, this 1963 Ford Falcon is a well-preserved classic sedan that combines originality, simplicity, and honest vintage charm. It may not be the loudest or most powerful classic car on the market, but it represents an important piece of Ford history and delivers a driving experience that feels genuine, nostalgic, and refreshingly uncomplicated. Number 3. 1968 Pontiac Grand Prix GT Coupe, offered at $32,000 and currently located in Santa Fe, New Mexico. This 1968 Pontiac Grand Prix GT is the kind of classic car that instantly reminds you of a different era in American automotive history, an era when luxury, performance, and bold styling all came together in one dramatic package. Finished in a rich green exterior with a black interior, this Grand Prix carries a timeless late 1960s presence that feels both elegant and muscular at the same time. Long hood, aggressive front-end styling, and clean body lines give the car a commanding appearance even while standing still. What makes this particular example especially interesting is its originality. According to the seller, this is an all-original survivor car, something that becomes harder and harder to find as decades pass. Aside from a few tasteful upgrades, including classic Krogger wheels, Cooper tires, a replacement carburetor, and a modern Bluetooth stereo designed to look period correct, the car has remained remarkably close to how it left the factory in 1968. That originality adds a level of authenticity that many collectors and enthusiasts appreciate far more than heavily modified builds. It tells a story of preservation rather than reconstruction. Instead of being restored beyond recognition, this Grand Prix appears to have been cared for and maintained throughout its life while still retaining its vintage identity. The seller notes that the vehicle has had only 2 owners, which is another detail that helps separate it from many classics that have passed through countless hands over the years. Cars with limited ownership histories often carry a stronger sense of continuity, and in many cases, they tend to be better preserved mechanically and cosmetically. One of the strongest highlights of this Grand Prix is the condition of the interior. The seller describes it as immaculate, which is particularly impressive for a vehicle approaching 6 decades old. Interiors are often the first area to deteriorate in classic cars due to heat, sunlight, and age, so finding one that remains exceptionally clean can significantly increase both the appeal and collectability of the car. The exterior is described as having only a few small nicks and minor scratches, which is completely understandable for an unrestored survivor vehicle. Rather than hurting the personality of the car, these imperfections actually reinforce its authenticity. They serve as subtle reminders that this Grand Prix has been driven, enjoyed, and preserved over time instead of being hidden away as a museum piece. Another important detail is the complete absence of rust, something that is always highly desirable in classic American cars from this era. Rust repair can become one of the most expensive and time-consuming parts of restoration work, so a rust-free body is a major advantage. Combined with garage storage throughout its life, it suggests that the vehicle has been protected and maintained carefully over the years. The addition of a Bluetooth stereo that retains an original appearance is also a smart touch because it blends modern convenience with vintage aesthetics. Drivers can enjoy updated audio functionality without sacrificing the classic dashboard look that makes these older cars so appealing. Included with the sale are the original fender skirts, another period-correct detail that adds to the car's classic luxury image. In the late 1960s, features like these helped give large American coupes a smoother, more upscale appearance, emphasizing style and sophistication alongside performance. Driving a 1968 Grand Prix is a completely different experience from driving a modern car. Everything feels larger, smoother, and more dramatic. The long hood stretches out in front of the driver, the suspension delivers a soft and comfortable ride, and the car carries that unmistakable old-school American V8 personality. It's less about precision and technology, and more about presence, sound, and cruising comfort. Overall, this 1968 Pontiac Grand Prix GT Coupe stands out as a beautifully preserved survivor that combines originality, luxury, and classic muscle-era styling. It is not simply a restored classic, it is a genuine piece of American automotive history that has survived with much of its original identity intact. For collectors, enthusiasts, or anyone who appreciates authentic vintage cars, this Grand Prix offers the kind of character that cannot be recreated once it is lost. Number 4, 1965 Ford Mustang Coupe, offered at $27,000 and currently located in Los Lunas, New Mexico. This is the kind of classic American car that instantly brings people back to the birth of the pony car era. A clean first-generation Mustang with V8 power, timeless styling, and the unmistakable personality that made the Mustang one of the most successful performance cars in automotive history. The 1965 Mustang changed the industry when it first arrived, creating an entirely new category of affordable sporty cars that combined compact styling with real performance potential. Decades later, it still carries the same charm that made it a cultural icon, and this particular coupe captures that classic formula perfectly. Under the hood sits a 289 cubic inch V8 engine paired with an automatic transmission, offering that unmistakable small-block Ford sound and smooth cruising character. The 289 is widely considered one of the most beloved engines of the early Mustang years because of its balance between reliability, simplicity, and strong performance for the era. Whether cruising through town or rolling into a weekend car meet, the deep V8 rumble alone gives this Mustang an unmistakable presence. The car is also equipped with power steering, making it noticeably easier to drive compared to many early muscle-era vehicles. Combined with its lightweight body and compact dimensions, this Mustang delivers a more approachable driving experience while still maintaining its vintage feel. It retains drum brakes, which keeps the car closer to its original factory-era setup and preserves that authentic 1960s driving character. Visually, the blue exterior paired with a matching blue interior creates a very classic mid-60s American look. Color-matched interiors were a huge trend during the era, and this combination gives the car a strong vintage personality that stands out from more modern monochromatic builds. The body style itself remains one of the most recognizable shapes in automotive history, with its long hood, short rear deck, and clean coupe roofline. The seller also mentions upgraded rims and good tires, which subtly modernized the stance of the vehicle while still respecting its original design language. These types of mild visual upgrades are popular because they enhance the car's road presence without taking away from its classic identity. Mileage is listed as unknown, which is fairly common with older classics of this age, especially vehicles that may have gone through restoration work or mechanical updates over the decades. What matters more in the collector world is often the overall condition, drivability, and how well the car presents itself today. One interesting detail from the listing is that the seller may consider trades for vehicles like an F-150, Toyota Tacoma, newer Mustang GT, Corvette, or something similar. That kind of flexibility often suggests the owner is an enthusiast who appreciates performance vehicles both old and new, rather than simply trying to move the car quickly. At around $27,000 to $28,000, this Mustang fits into the category of clean driver quality classics, cars that can be enjoyed regularly while still attracting attention wherever they go. It's not presented as an over-restored museum piece, but rather as a solid, enjoyable example of one of America's most important performance cars. Overall, this 1965 Ford Mustang Coupe delivers exactly what enthusiasts love about early Mustangs: V8 sound, classic styling, simple mechanics, and undeniable heritage. It's a car that represents freedom, cruising culture, and the beginning of the pony car revolution, all wrapped into one timeless package. Number 5. 1971 Ford Mustang Mach 1 Premium Coupe 2D, offered at $22,900 and currently located in La Junta, Colorado. This is the kind of classic muscle car that immediately commands attention the moment it fires up. The 1971 Ford Mustang Mach 1 represents the aggressive evolution of the Mustang platform during the peak years of American muscle, when bigger engines, louder exhaust notes, and bold styling defined the entire performance car era. Unlike the smaller Mustangs of the late 1960s, the 1971 Mach 1 arrived with a wider, longer, and more muscular body design. Ford transformed the Mustang into something more serious and intimidating, giving it a road presence that still feels dramatic even decades later. And this particular example takes that attitude even further with a serious drivetrain setup built for far more than casual cruising. Under the hood sits a massive 460 cubic inch V8 engine, one of Ford's legendary big block power plants known for producing enormous torque and brutal straight-line acceleration. Paired with a C6 automatic transmission and a heavy-duty 9-inch 10-bolt rear end, this Mach 1 appears to be built with performance in mind from front to back. The seller describes it as street legal but better, suggesting this is more than just a factory-style restoration. It's a purpose-built muscle machine with real power potential. The 460 engine is famous in the Ford world for its ability to make huge torque numbers with relatively simple modifications. In a car like the Mach 1, that translates into tire-shredding acceleration, deep V8 rumble, and the kind of raw driving experience that modern performance cars often try, but fail, to replicate electronically. This is old-school muscle in its purest form: large displacement, rear-wheel drive, and mechanical aggression. Visually, the car features a green exterior paired with a matching green interior, a color combination that feels very authentic to the early 1970s. During this era, manufacturers were not afraid to use bold factory colors, and seeing a muscle car retain that period-correct personality adds a lot to its character. The long hood, aggressive front-end styling, and signature Mach 1 proportions all contribute to the unmistakable look that made these cars icons of the muscle car era. The listing notes approximately 100,000 miles, though with a heavily upgraded drivetrain setup like this, the mileage becomes less important than the quality of the build itself. Cars like this are often appreciated for their mechanical package and driving experience rather than originality alone. One of the standout features here is the Ford 9-inch rear end, widely considered one of the strongest and most respected rear axle setups ever produced for American performance cars. Combined with the C6 transmission, it creates a drivetrain combination that can handle serious power without compromising durability. That's part of what makes this Mach 1 especially appealing. It's not just visually aggressive, it's mechanically prepared for real performance use. The seller also mentions that the car is being listed for a friend, indicating this may be more of a private enthusiast sale rather than a dealership-style transaction. Those types of listings often hide some of the most interesting muscle cars because they come directly from owners and hobbyists rather than commercial resellers. Driving a car like this is a completely different experience from driving modern performance vehicles. There are no driving modes, no traction management systems constantly interfering, and no artificial exhaust sounds pumped through speakers. Everything feels mechanical, physical, and connected. You hear the engine, you feel the torque, and every throttle input reminds you exactly how much displacement sits under the hood. What makes the 1971 Mach 1 especially important in Mustang history is that it marked the final years before tightening emissions regulations and insurance pressures began reducing the dominance of the muscle car era. Cars from this period still carried the spirit of unrestricted American horsepower, making them increasingly desirable among collectors and enthusiasts today. At $22,900, this Mach 1 occupies an interesting space in the current classic car market. Fully restored and numbers-matching Mach 1s can command significantly higher prices, especially with desirable big block setups. This example instead offers something different: a powerful street machine with upgraded components and a focus on real-world performance rather than showroom originality. In the end, this 1971 Ford Mustang Mach 1 is more than just a classic coupe. It's a reminder of a time when American manufacturers competed through horsepower, sound, and attitude. Big engine, strong drivetrain, unmistakable styling, and pure analog performance. Everything about this car reflects the spirit of the golden muscle car era. Number 6. 1963 Ford Galaxie 500 XL, offered at $19,500 and currently located in Maricopa, Arizona. This stunning 1963 Ford Galaxie 500 XL captures the spirit of early 1960s American cruising with its sleek styling, V8 power, and classic luxury touches. Finished in blue with a matching blue interior, this full-size Ford delivers the kind of timeless road presence that made the Galaxie one of the most respected names of its era. Under the hood sits a 352 cubic inch V8 engine that has reportedly been gone through within the last 1,000 miles, giving the car refreshed mechanical confidence while still maintaining its vintage personality. Paired with an automatic transmission mounted on the floor, this Galaxie offers a smooth and enjoyable driving experience that feels both classic and refined. The addition of bucket seats further enhances the sporty luxury feel that made the XL trim level especially desirable back in the 1960s. One of the standout features of this particular example is the condition of the interior. According to the seller, the entire interior has been restored or refreshed to like new condition, creating a cabin that feels clean, comfortable, and highly presentable. The matching blue upholstery and trim maintain the authentic styling of the period while adding to the car's overall visual impact. Equipped with both power steering and power brakes, this Galaxie is designed to provide a more relaxed and comfortable driving experience compared to many vintage cars from the same era. These features make cruising easier and more enjoyable, especially during longer drives or weekend road trips. The exterior styling of the 1963 Galaxie remains one of Ford's most iconic designs, featuring long flowing body lines, chrome accents, and a wide stance that perfectly reflects the optimism and boldness of 1960s American automotive design. Whether parked at a local car show or cruising down the highway, this Galaxie naturally commands attention with its elegant yet muscular appearance. While the mileage listing shows 999,999 miles, this is likely a placeholder figure often used on classic vehicle listings when exact mileage is unknown. More importantly, the seller emphasizes the strong condition of both the engine and the interior, suggesting the car has been well cared for and maintained over time. What makes this 1963 Ford Galaxie 500 XL especially appealing is its balance between comfort, originality, and drivability. It offers the charm and style of a vintage American cruiser while also benefiting from refreshed mechanical components and desirable factory features. Overall, this Galaxie 500 XL stands as a beautiful example of classic Ford craftsmanship, combining V8 performance, stylish design, and comfortable cruising manners into one memorable package that continues to represent the golden age of American automobiles. Number 7. 1963 Pontiac Bonneville, offered at $9,500 and currently located in Milliken, Colorado. This 1963 Pontiac Bonneville is a true example of early 1960s American cruising culture, a full-size classic built during a time when cars were designed to be long, stylish, comfortable, and powerful all at once. Known for its massive body lines, elegant chrome trim, and commanding road presence, the Bonneville stood at the top of Pontiac's lineup during its era. Even today, it remains one of the most recognizable full-size American classics from the golden age of Detroit styling. According to the seller, this Bonneville has been owned for the past 10 years, which is often a very positive sign when looking at vintage vehicles. Long-term ownership usually suggests the car has been cared for and enjoyed rather than constantly flipped from one owner to another. The seller describes it as being in nice shape overall, with older paint and a strong running condition that still makes it a reliable cruiser today. While the paint is not fresh, that actually adds a certain authenticity to the car's personality. Many enthusiasts appreciate classics that show some age naturally rather than being over-restored to perfection. It gives the Bonneville a more honest appearance and reinforces the idea that this is a car meant to be driven and enjoyed, not hidden away in a garage. Mechanically, the seller states that the car runs and drives well, which is one of the most important qualities in a classic cruiser. Full-size cars from the early 1960s were built for comfort and smooth highway travel, and the Bonneville was one of Pontiac's finest examples of that philosophy. These cars were designed to float down the road effortlessly, offering a relaxed and comfortable driving experience that modern vehicles simply cannot replicate. The styling of the 1963 Bonneville remains one of its strongest selling points. The wide stance, sweeping body lines, and dramatic chrome details create a design that feels unmistakably American. Cars from this era were built with personality, and the Bonneville carries that identity proudly. Whether parked at a local car meet or cruising through town, it naturally attracts attention from people who appreciate vintage automotive design. Inside, Bonnevilles of this generation were known for spacious interiors and comfortable seating, making them ideal long-distance cruisers. While the listing does not go into deep detail about the cabin condition, the overall description suggests the vehicle remains complete and usable. These cars were built during an era when comfort mattered just as much as appearance, and that feeling still comes through decades later. One of the most interesting aspects of this listing is the seller's openness to trades. Instead of only seeking cash, they are also interested in family boats for skiing and recreation, machinery, tow trucks, or campers. That flexibility gives the listing a more personal and practical feel, almost like a traditional old-school classified ad where enthusiasts trade based on lifestyle and utility rather than strict market value. The seller specifically notes that motorcycles are not of interest, keeping the focus on larger recreational or work-related trades. The fact that the car comes with a clean Colorado title is another important detail. Documentation is always critical with classic vehicles, and having a clear title makes the ownership process much simpler for the next buyer or trader. What makes this Bonneville appealing is that it doesn't present itself as a high-dollar show car or an unfinished restoration project. Instead, it sits comfortably in the middle ground that many enthusiasts actually prefer. A solid, usable classic that can be driven immediately while still leaving room for future improvements if desired. Cars like this represent a disappearing era of automotive history. Modern vehicles focus heavily on technology, efficiency, and compact design, while classics like the Bonneville were built around comfort, style, and road presence. Driving one today feels more like an event than simple transportation, and that's part of what keeps interest in these full-size American classics alive. Overall, this 1963 Pontiac Bonneville offers vintage style, proven drivability, and classic American cruising character at an approachable price point. With long-term ownership, clean title status, and solid running condition, it stands as an honest and enjoyable classic for someone looking to experience the feel of a true 1960s land yacht. Number 8. 1964 Chevrolet Impala Super Sport, offered at $32,500 and currently located in Burley, Idaho. This 1964 Chevrolet Impala Super Sport represents one of the most recognizable and respected full-size American performance cars of the 1960s. Finished in a striking red exterior paired with a black interior, this Impala carries the exact kind of classic styling that helped make the model a legend among collectors, cruisers, and lowrider enthusiasts alike. With its long body lines, wide stance, and unmistakable rear-end design, the 1964 Impala remains one of the most iconic Chevrolets ever produced. What makes this particular example especially appealing is its combination of originality, documented ownership history, and classic performance equipment. According to the seller, this car has had only 2 owners throughout its lifetime, a detail that often suggests long-term care and preservation rather than constant resale and neglect. Cars with limited ownership history tend to retain more of their original personality, and that authenticity is something many enthusiasts actively look for today. Under the hood sits Chevrolet's well-known 327 cubic inch V8 rated at 300 horsepower, one of the most respected small-block engines of the era. The 327 became famous for delivering strong performance while remaining reliable and easy to maintain. In the mid-1960s, an engine like this transformed the Impala from a comfortable full-size cruiser into a true performance-oriented street machine. Backing the V8 is one of the most desirable features any classic muscle-era Chevrolet can have, a 4-speed muslce manual transmission. That setup alone dramatically changes the driving experience. Instead of simply cruising, the driver becomes fully connected to the car through every shift and acceleration pull. The muslce transmission has become legendary among enthusiasts for its durability, smooth shifting feel, and unmistakable connection to classic American muscle culture. The seller states that the engine was rebuilt and the car was repainted sometime in the late 1980s. While that restoration work is no longer recent, it suggests the vehicle was cared for and refreshed rather than left to deteriorate over time. The fact that it still runs and drives today is an important sign that the car has remained mechanically maintained despite its age. One especially interesting feature is the factory tinted glass, a period-correct option that adds both style and rarity to the vehicle. Small factory options like this are often appreciated by collectors because they help preserve the car's original identity and distinguish it from more common examples. The interior, finished in black, complements the red exterior perfectly and gives the car a timeless muscle-era appearance. The Super Sport trim itself adds extra appeal because SS models have always been associated with a more performance-focused image within the Chevrolet lineup. Even today, the Super Sport badge carries weight among classic car enthusiasts. The seller does note that there is some rust in the corners of the fenders, which is fairly common for vehicles of this age. Importantly, the seller also mentions having additional photos of the affected areas available, which shows transparency about the car's condition. Unlike over-restored or heavily concealed classics, this Impala appears to present itself honestly, with visible signs of age but still maintaining strong overall appeal. Another detail worth noting is that the vehicle has not been licensed for approximately 6 years. While it still runs and drives, this suggests the car may have spent much of its recent life stored rather than actively used on public roads. For many collectors, garage-kept classics that have been stored carefully are often preferable to heavily driven examples. Driving a 1964 Impala Super Sport delivers a completely different feeling from modern performance cars. The steering feels larger and heavier, the body moves with more presence, and the sound of the small-block V8 paired with a manual transmission creates a mechanical experience modern vehicles simply cannot replicate. Every shift through the muslce gearbox becomes part of the experience, making the car feel alive in a very analog and engaging way. Overall, this 1964 Chevrolet Impala Super Sport offers a strong mix of classic styling, V8 performance, limited ownership history, and authentic vintage personality. It is not a flawless concours-level restoration, but that is part of its charm. Instead, it stands as a genuine American classic that still carries the spirit of the 1960s every time the engine fires up. For enthusiasts looking for a true driver-quality super sport with one of Chevrolet's most desirable engine and transmission combinations, this Impala presents a compelling opportunity. Number 9. 1966 Dodge Coronet 440. offered at $19,900 and currently located in Fruita, Colorado. This is a classic mid-1960s Mopar that combines clean styling, V8 reliability, and the kind of understated presence that has made cars like the Coronet increasingly appreciated among vintage American car enthusiasts. The 1966 Dodge Coronet came during an era when Detroit was producing some of its most memorable designs, and this particular Coronet 440 captures that old-school muscle-era personality perfectly. While it may not carry the same mainstream spotlight as some high-dollar Mopar muscle cars, the Coronet has developed a loyal following thanks to its solid construction, clean body lines, and strong platform for both cruising and performance builds. Under the hood sits a Poly 318 V8 paired with an automatic transmission, offering a smooth and dependable driving experience. The Poly engine, often nicknamed the Poly head, has become something of a hidden gem in the Mopar world. Known for its durability and unique design, it delivers a different personality compared to later small-block Chrysler engines and gives the car a more authentic mid-60s feel. According to the listing, the car has around 80,000 miles and is described as running and driving well, which is exactly what many buyers hope to hear when shopping for a classic cruiser. Rather than being a non-running project or unfinished restoration, this Coronet appears to be a usable vintage car that can be enjoyed immediately. One of the strongest selling points mentioned is the lack of rust. For a vehicle that's now around 60 years old, a rust-free body is a major advantage, especially in the classic car world where bodywork can quickly become one of the most expensive aspects of restoration. A solid body foundation gives future owners much more flexibility, whether they want to preserve the car as is or continue improving it over time. The exterior has reportedly received newer paint, helping refresh the car's appearance while maintaining its original vintage identity. Fresh paint on a classic like this can completely transform its road presence, especially on a body design as sharp and balanced as the 1966 Coronet. The styling features clean lines, subtle chrome accents, and the kind of wide, confident stance that defined American cars of the era. Inside, the seller describes the interior as being in very good condition. That's another important factor because original-style interiors from the 1960s can be difficult and expensive to fully restore correctly. A clean cabin helps preserve the authentic atmosphere of the car while making it much more enjoyable for weekend cruising or car shows. The Coronet 440 trim also gave the car a slightly more upscale feel during its time, blending comfort with performance-oriented styling. It's the kind of vehicle that feels equally at home parked at a classic car meet or cruising down a highway with the sound of the V8 humming in the background. At just under $20,000, this Dodge Coronet sits in a very appealing section of the classic car market. It offers genuine vintage Mopar character without entering the extremely high price ranges often associated with more famous muscle models. That makes it attractive not only to collectors, but also to enthusiasts who want a classic they can actually drive and enjoy regularly. Overall, this 1966 Dodge Coronet 440 is a clean and honest classic with strong fundamentals, a rust-free body, dependable V8 power, refreshed paint, and a well-kept interior. It may not scream for attention like some high-powered muscle cars, but that's part of its charm. It's a car that quietly represents the golden era of American motoring with style, simplicity, and timeless Mopar personality. Number 10, 1971 Oldsmobile Cutlass Convertible, offered at $35,000 and currently located in Englewood, Colorado. This is the kind of classic American convertible that instantly captures the feeling of early 1970s cruising culture. The 1971 Oldsmobile Cutlass stood at the center of the muscle and luxury era, blending sporty styling with comfort, smooth V8 performance, and the kind of open-top driving experience that has become increasingly difficult to find in original condition today. What makes this particular example especially important is its originality. According to the seller, this Cutlass retains its matching numbers drivetrain and remains remarkably untouched, right down to the original carpet. In today's classic car market, originality matters more than ever, especially on cars that have survived decades without major modification or heavy restoration work. Many classic convertibles have been altered, repainted, or rebuilt multiple times throughout their lives, but this one appears to preserve much of its factory identity. The seller also states that the car is believed to be a two-owner example with just 63,385 original miles. If accurate, that level of ownership history adds significant appeal among collectors because it suggests the car has likely been cared for consistently rather than passed around through numerous short-term owners. Low-mile, well-preserved convertibles from this era are becoming increasingly difficult to locate, especially examples that still retain original details. Finished in white over a matching white interior, this Cutlass has the clean, elegant look that defined premium American convertibles in the early 1970s. The monochromatic color combination gives the car a timeless appearance, emphasizing its long body lines, chrome accents, and relaxed luxury-focused design. With the top down, the car delivers exactly the kind of visual presence people associate with vintage American boulevard cruisers. The convertible top is reported to be fully functional, which is an important detail because top mechanisms and hydraulic systems can often become expensive restoration items on classic convertibles. Knowing that it works properly adds immediate usability and value to the car as a weekend cruiser or show vehicle. Mechanically, the seller describes the car as running and driving great, which suggests this is not simply a stored collectible but an actively usable classic. Vehicles like this are at their best when driven. Slow cruises, weekend car shows, and open road drives are exactly what they were built for. The automatic transmission complements the personality of the car perfectly, prioritizing comfort and effortless driving over aggressive performance. The 1971 model year also occupies an important place in muscle car history. This was one of the final years before tightening emissions regulations and rising insurance costs began changing the landscape of American performance vehicles. As a result, cars from this period still carry much of the classic muscle-era design and engineering philosophy while beginning to transition into more refined grand touring machines. Inside, the cabin reflects Oldsmobile's approach to comfort and style during this era. Wide seating, simple instrumentation, and spacious proportions create an environment that feels relaxed and luxurious in a very old-school American way. Unlike modern convertibles filled with screens and electronic systems, this Cutlass offers a far more analog and connected driving experience. What truly separates this car from many others on the market is the combination of originality, condition, and documentation-style ownership history. Matching numbers convertibles with believed original mileage are becoming more desirable every year because they represent surviving examples of how these cars actually left the factory decades ago. At $35,000, this Cutlass sits in the upper range of driver-quality classic convertibles, but the price reflects more than just the car itself. It reflects preservation. Originality cannot easily be recreated once it is lost, and collectors increasingly recognize the value of well-preserved survivors over restored examples. Driving a car like this is about more than transportation. It's about atmosphere. The sound of the V8, the feeling of open-air cruising, the long hood stretching out in front of you, and the unmistakable presence of a full-size American convertible all combine into an experience that modern cars simply cannot duplicate. In the end, this 1971 Oldsmobile Cutlass convertible represents a surviving piece of American automotive history, an elegant, open-top cruiser that still carries the charm, comfort, and authenticity of the golden age of Detroit performance and design. Number 11. 1960 Pontiac Bonneville Flat Top, offered at $19,500 and currently located in Grand Junction, Colorado. This eye-catching 1960 Pontiac represents one of the most distinctive designs of the early American space-age automotive era. Known by enthusiasts as a flat top because of its unique roofline and massive wraparound glass, this classic four-door hardtop delivers a bold combination of vintage luxury, chrome-heavy styling, and V8-powered cruising performance. Powered by Pontiac's legendary 389 cubic-inch engine and paired with an automatic transmission, this full-size cruiser was built for smooth highway driving and effortless road presence. The addition of an Edelbrock carburetor helps improve performance and drivability, giving the engine a little extra responsiveness while still preserving the car's classic character. Finished in black with a blue interior, this Pontiac carries an unmistakable early 1960s personality. The dramatic body lines, oversized chrome trim, and futuristic styling cues create a look that instantly separates it from ordinary classic cars. Even today, the design still feels bold and unique, capturing the optimism and creativity of Detroit during one of its most innovative periods. Over the years, this car has received several tasteful upgrades and maintenance improvements aimed at enhancing both reliability and comfort. Recent additions include a new alternator, a new power steering pump, and a new windshield. The vehicle also features a front disc brake conversion, offering improved stopping performance compared to the original drum brake setup, making the car more confidence-inspiring for modern driving conditions. The interior has been refreshed with diamond-stitched upholstery and a new headliner, giving the cabin a custom yet period-appropriate feel. Combined with the spacious hardtop layout and expansive glass visibility, the interior creates a comfortable and stylish cruising environment that feels unmistakably vintage. Adding to its road presence are the 5-spoke mag wheels wrapped in 15-inch tires, giving the car a slightly more aggressive stance while still fitting the era-correct aesthetic. Dual exhaust with stainless tips adds a deeper tone and completes the classic American V8 experience. According to the seller, the paint is approximately 3 years old and still presents well overall, although there are 2 small areas in the trunk section that may need correction. Even with those minor imperfections, the car is described as a great driver, suggesting it is meant to be enjoyed on the road rather than hidden away in storage. What makes this 1960 Pontiac especially appealing is its combination of rare styling, upgraded drivability, and authentic vintage character. Cars from this era already stand out on their own, but the flat-top Pontiacs have developed a special reputation among collectors because of their dramatic appearance and unmistakable silhouette. Overall, this classic Pontiac delivers everything enthusiasts love about early 1960s American cars: massive presence, smooth V8 power, chrome-heavy styling, and a relaxed cruising experience that turns every drive into an event. Number 12. 1977 Oldsmobile Toronado Brougham, offered at $9,500 and currently located in Tribune, Kansas. This 1977 Oldsmobile Toronado Brougham is a perfect reminder of an era when American luxury cars were built to be large, comfortable, stylish, and effortlessly smooth on the road. During the late 1970s, the Toronado stood out as one of General Motors' most distinctive personal luxury cars, combining bold styling with advanced engineering and a driving experience focused entirely on comfort and presence. Finished in original condition with just 49,000 original miles, this Toronado represents a well-preserved survivor from one of the most unique periods in American automotive history. At first glance, the Toronado immediately captures attention with its unmistakable full-size proportions and classic luxury car design. The long body lines, oversized front end, and elegant Brougham styling give it the type of road presence that modern cars rarely achieve. Vehicles like this were built during a time when luxury was measured not by screens and software, but by size, comfort, smoothness, and visual impact. According to the seller, the car remains all original, which is a major selling point for collectors and enthusiasts alike. Finding an untouched luxury coupe from the 1970s that still retains its original character is becoming increasingly difficult. Many vehicles from this era were modified, neglected, or simply worn out after decades of use, but this Toronado appears to have survived in remarkably honest condition. One of the most interesting details about this Oldsmobile is the factory 8-track player, which the seller says still works great. That feature alone instantly transports the car back into the late 1970s, when 8-track tapes were still a major part of the driving experience. It's a small detail, but it adds a huge amount of nostalgia and personality to the vehicle. In many ways, features like that are what make classic cars feel alive and authentic rather than simply old. Mechanically, the seller states that the car runs great, which is important for a nearly 50-year-old luxury coupe. Cars like the Toronado were designed for smooth highway cruising and effortless long-distance comfort rather than aggressive performance. Behind the wheel, the driving experience is all about relaxation. The suspension tuning, soft ride quality, and quiet cabin create the feeling of floating down the road rather than simply driving on it. The Toronado name also carries historical significance because it was one of the few American front-wheel drive luxury cars of its time. Oldsmobile originally introduced the Toronado in the 1960s as an innovative personal luxury coupe, and by 1977 it had evolved into a larger, softer, and more comfort-oriented cruiser that perfectly reflected the automotive trends of the late 1970s. This example has also received some recent maintenance upgrades that improve its road readiness. The seller mentions brand new tires and a new carburetor, both of which are important improvements for reliability and drivability. Fresh tires help ensure smoother cruising and safer road manners, while a new carburetor can significantly improve engine performance, starting behavior, and fuel delivery in classic vehicles. Inside, the Brougham trim level would have offered extra comfort and upscale styling touches compared to standard models. Cars from this era focused heavily on plush interiors, wide seating, soft materials, and quiet cabins designed to make long drives as relaxing as possible. Even today, sitting inside a full-size American luxury coupe from the 1970s feels completely different from modern vehicles. It's more about comfort and atmosphere than speed or technology. What makes this Toronado especially appealing is its originality. In today's classic car market, many enthusiasts are beginning to appreciate preserved original cars just as much as restored examples. An all-original vehicle tells a story. It shows how the car survived through decades without losing the identity it left the factory with. At $9,500, this Oldsmobile also occupies an interesting place in the collector world. It offers classic American luxury, vintage style, low original mileage, and originality at a price point that remains relatively approachable compared to many other collectible classics from the same era. Overall, this 1977 Oldsmobile Toronado Brougham is a well-preserved American luxury cruiser that captures the personality of the late 1970s perfectly. With its original condition, working 8-track player, low mileage, new tires, and strong running condition, it stands as a nostalgic and increasingly rare example of old-school Detroit luxury done right. Number 13, 1966 Ford Mustang, offered at $22,000 and currently located in Loma, Colorado. This 1966 Ford Mustang represents one of the most important and recognizable cars in American automotive history. More than half a century after its debut, the Mustang still carries a timeless design that continues to attract collectors, enthusiasts, and casual admirers alike. Finished as a clean and well-preserved example, this particular car focuses less on extreme performance and more on originality, drivability, and classic character. At the heart of this Mustang is its original 200 cubic inch inline-six engine, paired with a 3-speed manual transmission. While many people associate vintage Mustangs with loud V8 power, the straight-six models offered a different kind of experience, lighter, smoother, and surprisingly enjoyable to drive. These cars were designed to be practical sporty coupes that could serve as everyday transportation while still delivering the youthful personality that made the Mustang famous in the 1960s. The inline-six engine is well known for its simplicity and reliability. According to the seller, the motor was rebuilt previously and continues to run and drive well today. That's an important detail because it means the car has already received mechanical attention rather than simply being left untouched for decades. Combined with the manual transmission, the setup creates a more connected driving experience that reflects the simplicity of classic American cars before electronics and modern driving aids became standard. One of the strongest selling points of this Mustang is its condition. The seller describes the interior as a flawless 10 out of 10, which is impressive for a vehicle approaching 60 years old. Interiors are often one of the hardest and most expensive parts of a classic car to restore properly, so a clean and well-preserved cabin adds significant appeal. Sitting inside a car like this immediately transports you back to the mid-1960s, with its simple dashboard layout, thin steering wheel, chrome accents, and straightforward design philosophy. The exterior is rated as a 7 out of 10, meaning it still presents very well while retaining some minor imperfections expected from a classic driver-quality vehicle. Importantly, the seller specifically mentions that the car has no rust issues, which is one of the most critical details when evaluating older Mustangs. Rust has always been a major concern on vintage pony cars, so a rust-free body adds major long-term value and peace of mind. Another feature that helps this Mustang stand out is its documented history dating back to the early 1970s. Extensive paperwork and historical records add a sense of authenticity and continuity to the car's story. For collectors and enthusiasts, documentation can be just as meaningful as the mechanical condition itself because it helps preserve the identity and journey of the vehicle over decades of ownership. What makes this Mustang especially appealing is that it is described as fully ready to drive and enjoy immediately. Many classic cars on the market require extensive repairs, unfinished restoration work, or constant mechanical attention. This one, however, is presented as a turnkey classic, something you can simply start up, shift into gear, and enjoy on the open road without needing immediate investment. Driving a 1966 Mustang with a manual transmission is a very different experience compared to modern performance cars. The steering feels more mechanical, the clutch engagement is direct and analog, and the lightweight nature of the inline-six setup gives the car a balanced and relaxed personality. Instead of overwhelming speed, the focus becomes the overall experience of driving a true classic machine. The Mustang's design also remains one of the reasons the car continues to hold such strong popularity worldwide. The long hood, short rear deck, compact proportions, and signature grille design created a formula that reshaped the American automotive industry forever. Even today, first-generation Mustangs are instantly recognizable almost anywhere in the world. Overall, this 1966 Ford Mustang offers a clean, honest, and highly usable example of one of America's most legendary classic cars. It may not be the highest horsepower Mustang on the market, but its originality, documented history, rust-free condition, rebuilt engine, and excellent interior make it a very attractive option for someone seeking a dependable and enjoyable vintage cruiser. It's the kind of car that doesn't need radical modifications or massive horsepower to be appreciated. Its charm comes from simply being a classic Mustang, preserved and ready to drive. Number 14, 1973 Mercury Montego MX Brougham, offered at $9,000 and currently located in Sterling, Colorado. This is a classic early 1970s American cruiser that represents a different side of the muscle car era. Less aggressive than the high-horsepower machines of the late 1960s, but built around comfort, smooth V8 performance, and unmistakable full-size road presence. The 1973 Mercury Montego MX Brougham came from a time when American cars were transitioning into a more luxurious and comfort-focused direction. Large body dimensions, soft ride quality, and stylish interiors became major selling points, and this Montego captures that atmosphere perfectly. Finished in brown over a matching brown interior, it delivers a very authentic 1970s appearance that instantly feels period correct. Under the hood sits a 5.8-liter 351 V8 engine paired with an automatic transmission, providing the kind of relaxed cruising power these cars were known for. The 351 platform earned a reputation for durability and strong low-end torque, making it ideal for full-size American sedans and coupes during the era. Rather than being built for all-out speed, cars like this were designed to comfortably cover long highway miles with effortless V8 power. According to the seller, the car runs great and remains in very good overall condition. Several maintenance items have recently been replaced, including a new distributor cap, rotor, spark plugs, battery, and starter. Those updates are important because they suggest the vehicle has continued to receive mechanical attention rather than being left sitting and used for years. With over 154,000 miles, this Montego clearly has a long driving history behind it, but that can actually say a lot about the reliability of the platform. Many classic cars from this era did not survive decades of use unless they were maintained consistently, and the fact that this one is still described as running strong speaks positively about its care over time. Visually, the brown exterior gives the car a warm vintage personality that perfectly matches the styling trends of the early 1970s. Earth tone paint colors became extremely popular during this era, and today they give surviving classics like this a very nostalgic identity. Combined with the matching brown interior, the car feels like a true time capsule from the golden age of American luxury cruising. The MX Brougham trim also pushed the Montego toward a more upscale market, emphasizing comfort and style over pure performance. Interiors from this era were often designed with plush seating, wide dashboards, wood grain accents, and soft ride characteristics intended to make long-distance driving more enjoyable. One of the biggest advantages of a car like this is that it offers classic V8 ownership at a relatively approachable price point. While many muscle cars and collector vehicles from the 1960s have climbed dramatically in value, full-size 1970s cruisers like the Montego still remain somewhat underappreciated, which makes them appealing to enthusiasts looking for something unique without entering premium collector pricing. At $9,000, this Mercury Montego MX Brougham sits in a very accessible category for vintage car buyers. It's not being marketed as a high-end show restoration or ultra-rare collector investment. Instead, it comes across as an honest, well-maintained classic that can still be enjoyed on the road exactly as intended. Overall, this 1973 Mercury Montego MX Brougham delivers classic American comfort, dependable V8 character, and authentic 1970s styling in a package that feels increasingly uncommon today. It's the type of car that turns heads not because it's flashy, but because it represents an era of automotive design that has largely disappeared from modern roads. Number 15. 1965 Ford Galaxie 500, offered at $700 and currently located in Elk City, Oklahoma. This is the kind of classic American full-size car that instantly brings back the feeling of mid-1960s cruising culture. The 1965 Ford Galaxie 500 came from a time when Detroit was building cars with long body lines, massive road presence, and smooth V8-powered comfort designed for endless highway travel. Even today, the Galaxie remains one of Ford's most recognizable full-size classics, carrying a timeless design that still turns heads decades later. At first glance, what makes this listing especially surprising is the asking price. A running and reportedly good condition 1965 Galaxie 500 at only $700 immediately stands out in today's classic car market, especially considering the seller mentions that the vehicle has a newly rebuilt motor. In many cases, the drivetrain work alone can cost several times the asking price, making this car feel more like an opportunity than just another casual listing. The 1965 model year represented an important point in the Galaxie lineup. Ford refined the styling with cleaner body lines, a more aggressive front-end appearance, and a balanced combination of luxury and performance appeal. These cars were built to compete directly with Chevrolet's Impala and Plymouth's Fury, and they quickly became popular because of their comfortable ride quality and strong engine options. Although the listing does not specify the exact engine size, the mention of a newly rebuilt motor is a major highlight. Rebuilt engines are often one of the most expensive and time-consuming parts of restoring a classic vehicle, so hearing that this work has already been completed adds significant value to the car. It also suggests that the vehicle may still have strong mechanical life left in it despite its age. The seller describes the Galaxie as being in great condition, which naturally raises curiosity considering the extremely low asking price. In the world of vintage American cars, even incomplete project vehicles from the 1960s can sometimes sell for more than this simply because of body condition or parts value. That's part of what makes this listing so interesting. It feels less like a polished collector sale and more like an enthusiast trying to move a car quickly for the right trade or buyer. One of the most revealing details in the description is the seller's desire to trade for a Plymouth or Dodge from the 1966 to 1974 era. That tells you this is likely coming from someone deeply involved in classic American cars rather than someone simply clearing out storage space. Enthusiast-owned vehicles often carry more personality and care because they were appreciated as hobby cars rather than basic transportation. Visually, the 1965 Galaxie 500 has all the proportions that made full-size Fords so iconic during the mid-1960s. The wide stance, long hood, and clean side profile give the car an unmistakable American presence. Cars from this era were designed to feel substantial on the road, and the Galaxie did exactly that with a combination of comfort-oriented suspension and smooth power delivery. Driving a Galaxie from this period is a completely different experience from driving a modern car. The steering feels large and deliberate, the suspension is soft and floating, and the engine delivers power in a relaxed, effortless way. It's not about cornering performance or electronic driving modes. It's about enjoying the road, hearing the engine, and experiencing the simplicity of old-school American motoring. Inside, Galaxies from this era typically feature spacious bench seating, wide dashboards, chrome trim details, and a cabin layout designed around comfort. Even without modern technology, these cars carried a certain luxury feel simply because of their size and smooth ride quality. What makes this listing truly stand out is the potential value hidden behind its simple description. A newly rebuilt engine combined with a classic 1965 Ford platform creates a strong foundation for multiple possibilities. It could remain a budget-friendly cruiser, become a restoration candidate, or even serve as the starting point for a custom street build depending on the next owner's vision. At only $700, this Galaxy enters a price range where many classic cars are incomplete shells or non-running projects. The fact that this one is described as being in good condition with fresh engine work makes it especially intriguing. Listings like this rarely stay available long because enthusiasts understand how difficult it is becoming to find affordable 1960s American classics with mechanical work already completed. In the end, this 1965 Ford Galaxy 500 represents more than just an old car. It represents an era when American automobiles were built with style, size, and personality above everything else. Big body, rebuilt motor, classic 1960s presence, and a price that almost feels impossible in today's market. This Galaxy is exactly the kind of hidden gem that keeps classic car enthusiasts constantly searching for the next great find.